Hello, my name is Peter Abbott and thank you for joining me today to share with you why now is the time to think about creating a culture of inclusion within the workplace to enable you to better support and understand your neurodivergent employees and team members. I'm going to introduce you to the 7 main neurodiverse conditions so you can start thinking about creating a proactive approach to neuro-inclusion in the workplace. What that will mean is that it will enable you to be able to move towards more connected teams and a positive outcome for all. So let's have a look at the 7 main types of neurodifferences. So you can see on the screen here what we've got is autism, ADHD, dyslexia, dyscalculia, dyspraxia, dysgraphia, Tourette syndrome, and what you might be surprised to see is everybody. Because when it comes to the term neurodiversity, this refers to the natural variation in how our brain works, leading to differences how we think, how we may learn, and how we process information. And essentially, this does mean every one of us, everybody. When we think about this, think about biodiversity and all those wonderful differences that we have in the way of plant life and species across the globe, across the planet. When it comes to the human race, it's the same thinking. We're all neurodifferent. It's that neurodiversity that encompasses all. One thing to remember is that we do have a neuro majority or a neurotypical. Then we do have people who are neurodifferent. And if somebody is neurodifferent, it doesn't mean that they're broken. It essentially just means that they are different to the way that the neurotypical person may think, may learn when it comes to going about this thing called everyday life. So it's important to think about why we support people who are neurodifferent in the workplace. So if people go unsupported, what can happen is we'll find there's a decrease in team productivity and collaboration. So essentially, when employees struggle to work together effectively, what can happen is this can hinder productivity, it can hinder innovation within the team. There may well end up being higher turnover of members of staff within the organisation, which in turn can lead to extra recruitment costs. That's because of people leaving the company. Then in turn there's those recruitment expenses, those training expenses to get people up to speed that have filled those positions that became vacant. Other employees in the organisation may leave due to feeling unsupported when it comes to managing or working collaboratively with neuro individuals who are different. It can lead to communication breakdowns if it goes unsupported, which in turn can lead to conflicts. So misunderstandings, miscommunications can arise when team members don't understand each other's unique perspectives and communication styles. If it goes unsupported as well, what can happen is that we'll end up with HR complaints due to not understanding all types of neurodivergencies. We need to be compliant. We need to make sure that we cover legal and compliance risks, and that comes under the Equality Act 2010. And if we fail, or if you fail as an organisation to provide reasonable accommodations, this can expose the company to legal risks, compliance issues, and if they're unable to prove that they have worked within the Equality Act 2010, it could mean that the organisation is taken to a tribunal, and these can cost upwards of £10,000 and around about 48 weeks worth of time. And if found culpable or guilty of it, they can be fined. The organisation, or your organisation, potentially could be fined up to £100,000 plus damages. There's also the company reputation to consider when it comes to inclusion. There could be potential damage to it if it's found that the organisation isn't felt to be inclusive. And these are becoming more increasingly important both to employees and customers, and a lack of diversity awareness can negatively impact on your organisation's reputation. Also, when it comes to individuals, neurodivergent individuals, when they're unsupported, this could be because there's a difficulty in communication and understanding instructions. So the way neurodifferent individuals process information can be different. So that in turn leads to challenges in understanding and on maybe how to follow in these instructions. Sensory sensitivities are often common in neurodifferent people, so this can affect focus and productivity. So for example, bright lights or loud noises or other sensory stimuli can become overwhelming for neurodivergent individuals, which in turn can impact their ability in the job that they do. There could be higher levels of stress or anxiety, which in turn can then push their mental health into a poor mental health status. If there's a lack of understanding or support in the workplace, there could be feelings of being excluded or misunderstood by colleagues or their peers or indeed their managers because of negative attitudes or misconceptions about neurodiversity. And what can happen then is that leads to feelings of isolation and alienation amongst employees and neurodifferent. And also it could mean that the opportunities that somebody who's neurodifferent become limited, and that opportunity for growth and professional development could mean that people who are neurodifferent miss out because of that lack of understanding about who they are and how they might operate in the work environment. Also, we also need to think about and consider unsupported managers. It's not fair to expect managers to support their neurodifferent team members without giving them the skills, the knowledge and the understanding to be able to do so. So managers who aren't offered any kind of neurodiversity in the workplace training, they might experience challenges when it comes to leading these neurodiverse teams. So there could be uncertainty about providing appropriate accommodations, so they might feel unsure about how to provide the necessary reasonable adjustments for neurodifferent team members. It could be that they struggle or have no confidence on how to maybe have conversations about the need for additional support. They might struggle to recognise the signs of or challenges of somebody being neurodifferent who's one of their team members. So untrained managers might not be able to identify the signs of stress or understand the unique challenges faced by neurodifferent people. They might mistake some of the behaviours linked to being neurodifferent as performance management issues and tackle that from the wrong perspective. They might find it difficult, that they find it hard to foster positive team dynamics if they're unaware of how to effectively foster this inclusive and supportive team, if they don't have the right training to enable them to understand. They could feel overwhelmed, which in turn can start to impact their mental well-being when it comes to the responsibilities of being a manager of people who are neurodifferent. So the prospect of those reasonable adjustments, those accommodating and supporting those team members effectively, might feel too much for them if they don't have the correct type of training. They might be unsure of what a reasonable adjustment might be, or how that might look and how that might be worked with somebody that's neurodifferent in the team, or it may be that they don't know how they can maybe help that neurodifferent person to be able to thrive in their work or in their job or in the role that they're undertaking. It could also impact, as I said a little earlier, on their own mental well-being, leading to higher stress levels, which in turn push their mental health status into a poor state. Because managing a diverse team without adequate training really can take its toll on a manager's own well-being and job satisfaction, which in turn can lead to a fall in performance across the team, a fall in performance that the manager undertakes, and essentially lead that manager to feel that if they're feeling supported, that perhaps they need to maybe consider leaving that job role as well. So let's have a think about Thrive courses. Thrive as an organisation have been around now for a number of years, and they offer CPT accredited training and courses. All of their courses are CPT accredited, and that's through the CPD Standards Office, and they're a CPD provider number 22529. So what does this mean? So as a CPD solution, it means that you've got the assurance that the material that's being delivered in their courses is relevant, and it's up to date, and you can be confident that the training content is based on the latest research and best practices. Thrive also have their training peer reviewed by independent charities that specialise in the particular condition or difference. For example, Tick Yorkshire have reviewed all the Tourette syndrome content that's in here. You've got increased confidence in the training's effectiveness because of the CPD verification. It ensures that the training delves into measurable and meaningful outcomes for both participants and the organisation. It's professional recognition and value for participants' time and investment means that upon attending the courses, once they've attended or you've attended the course, you're allocated or issued with a CPD certificate with the number of hours of your training, and that works towards your professional development and your career prospects as you go in on a year-by-year basis. So when we think about why investing in neurodiversity training, so it can lead to significant benefits essentially when it comes to organisation and the workforce. So it improves team collaboration and productivity, as I mentioned earlier. If you have this culture of inclusion, you can unlock the diverse strengths of the team, and what can happen then is you enhance the collaboration amongst the team members, which in turn produces more overall productivity. You've got higher retention rates when it comes to if inclusion is supported correctly, which in turn reduces recruitment costs. With it, so that drives and develops better communication and conflict resolution skills, help resolve those before they exasperate or get into any more difficulties where perhaps HR need to be involved. It mitigates the legal and compliance risks that I spoke about earlier. So that means you understand and implement reasonable accommodations. So you implies that ensures that you're compliant with the legal requirements. And overall, it has a really good positive impact on the company's reputation throughout your customer base and your employees as well. It covers all aspects when it comes to neurodiversity, and each of the training courses builds, so from the awareness to the champion to the management courses. And what that does essentially is develop the understanding about the particular topic and its significance, and it builds on the ability to have some practical strategies that you can put in place, again, which involves those reasonable accommodations and fostering an environment where you essentially ensure that everybody has that capability to thrive. The training incorporates real life examples and trainees share their lived experiences. I myself am ADHD, so I bring that element to my training and the training courses of the Thrive courses when I deliver them. There's lots of interactive sessions within the training courses as well. So what that does is engage and empower the participants even more. All highly interactive that we talk about. We have open discussions as we go through the training and group activities. And then that enables that everybody is able to learn and able to take away positive learning outcomes that they can then go forward and put into practice. And also when attending the training, you get access to ongoing learning through materials that are available in course workbooks. So when it comes to what's involved in the training, so courses wise, we have comprehensive coverage of neurodiversity in the workplace. We have lived experiences that I just mentioned that we talked about, interactive activities, practical strategies and accessible materials, and a post-learning resource portal which has a whole range of materials and resources for you to be able to access and use and put into place and put into practice. So what courses are available to you? So we have the 1 hour webinar course, and this is designed essentially to be delivered online. However, it can be delivered face to face if you do prefer. Now, what needs to happen is everybody needs to attend the webinar course before they can think about going on to the champion and then in turn going on to the manager's workshop. The reason being is the webinar sets the foundation for the topics that we're going to talk about, and then we build on those when we reach the champion, or indeed we move on to the manager's workshop. The champion course, again, can be delivered online or face-to-face. However, when it comes to the champion and the manager's courses, I really do recommend that we think about doing this face-to-face. It allows delegates to think about being more interactive with the activities, and you tend to find the discussions open up a little bit more than perhaps they may do online. The manager's workshop is a workshop that's designed to follow on from the champion workshop. So say, for example, if you delivered the champion workshop in the morning, in the afternoon, you could potentially run the manager's workshop, which would follow on from the content that we've learned in the morning session. It could be delivered on a different day, to be perfectly honest, but a lot of times the demand that I get for it is it's a one-day workshop when it comes to people attend the champion in the morning and then they do the manager's workshop in the afternoon. Okay, now when we think about how many people can sit on these courses when it comes to the Aware webinar, which is, as I said, primarily online, we can have up to 40 delegates that can attend online to attend this particular workshop. When it comes to the champion and the manager's workshop, we're now thinking about that this is capped at 16, and the main reason for this is so that as instructors myself, we can make sure that everybody's able to engage with the content of the course, get involved in it, but also one of the primary focuses is I make sure everybody's kept safe on the course while we're doing the learning as well. So what do learners get? Okay. The Aware webinar, 1 hour, what they get on attending this is CPD certification of attendance. They get a digital learning guide and they get an editable PDF to be able to use. The champion course and the manager's workshop, again, they get certification of attendance, CPD. They'll get the individual digital learning guides for the champion and manager's courses, an editable PDF, and then they also get 3 years access to the Thrive Recap Hub. And in here are all the materials and all the extra information and resources that I bring as an instructor to the training course so that they get access to that, as we say on here, up to 3 years. At the end or towards the end of the 3 years, there is an encouragement that individuals then come on and do a refresher course to refresh the skills that they learnt and then train up in the latest thinking and ways of thinking and how you might support your neurodivergent colleagues in the workplace. So here we go, learning guides. You've got neurodiversity, Aware, the champion and the managers, just to give you a snapshot of those. As I've said, they become available online. You can get a hard copy of those, but there is an extra cost per delegate if you wish to, or if you wish to as well, you could think about printing those off once you've got the digital guide. But in this day and age, with regards to the environment, we do encourage people to stick to the digital copy wherever possible. The Learning Hub, as I've said, is the Thrive resources on there, access to that for 3 years. If anybody's watching this today and you want to follow up with having a more in-depth conversation about the training, when we do that, I can log on to here and I can talk you through and I can show you this in a bit more depth if you'd like to see that. So let's have a look at some feedback from people that have been on the course. So here we go, really nice pace to the webinar, opportunity to reflect on content and share. Brilliant, engaging and knowledgeable. The 4.5 hours passed so quickly. This session was interactive, fun as well as being informative. And 5 stars from me. It's an excellent course, thank you. Generically, we do often get some amazing feedback from the course and the content of it and how it helps to educate and in turn enable people to better understand and support those people who may be neurodifferent when it comes to their team members, say for example if they're a manager. So thank you so much for spending this 20 minutes thinking about how you might be able to help and support people or learn how you might be able to support and help people who are neurodifferent. It's time to make a change. it's coming. One of the leadership trends for 2025 is about how organisations and managers can educate and be better placed to help and support those neurodivergent team members. So essentially, it's time to start your journey towards a culture of inclusion. And it says there on the screen, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So without taking that first step, we really don't head in the right direction until that step has been taken. So if you do have any questions about the content that I've done today, please, there's going to be some contact details on the next slide. Pause the video so you've got it there for you. Reach out to me, drop me an email with any of the questions you've got on there. We can always set aside and jump on Zoom or Teams and have a cuppa and talk about the content you've just watched and have a chat about how you might think that this particular type of training might work well within your organisation. So thank you so much. Look after yourselves as always. Stay safe. And as I've said, there's the details for you. So you're more than welcome to reach out as and when or if you need to do so. Thank you so much for taking the time again. Okay, bye.